Your dog is, quite literally biologically hardwired to starve. Right now, as they are lying on their orthopedic bed in your air-conditioned living room, their brain is screaming. Their brain is chemically screaming at them that a famine is coming. It sounds extreme, but the way we try to love them is exactly what is killing them. Today, we are wading deep into that very specific, universal panic. What starts as just a few extra treats quietly metastasizes into a massive, invisible epidemic. We are talking about companion animal obesity. It is a tough topic because of the guilt involved, but this isn't about a lack of willpower on your part. You are fighting ancient evolutionary forces and powerful neurological loops. The scale of this crisis is staggering, according to data from a global One Health study. Data from Atlantis Press shows that 57% of dogs in the United States are currently overweight. That is over half the entire canine population. Banfield Pet Hospital reported that between 2007 and 2011, the incidence of overweight dogs increased by 37%. For cats, that spike was 90%. These are catastrophic spikes. The One Health paradigm explains why. As humans transitioned to sedentary lives, we brought our pets along for the ride. They are eating commercialized food and subjected to the same synthetic light cycles that disrupt sleep. They are confined to the same square footage we are. While food and shelter remove predation, they transfer our modern metabolic diseases to them. The physical reality of that excess tissue is absolutely brutal. An extra 5 pounds on a human might make jeans feel tight, but on a Chihuahua, it is a physiological disaster for their small frame. Take osteoarthritis, which is wildly prevalent in overweight dogs. Adipose tissue isn't just inert padding, it is an active, aggressive endocrine organ. It secretes inflammatory cytokines, creating a two-front war, mechanical overload crushing the cartilage, and systemic chemical inflammation degrading the tissue from the inside out. We see this in cranial cruciate ligament ruptures. Because of biomechanics, that ligament is under constant tension just by how they stand. Adding 20% more body weight means a simple jump off the couch generates kinetic energy the ligament literally cannot withstand. It snaps. Then there is tracheal collapse. In smaller breeds, the trachea is supported by C-shaped cartilage rings, which are vital for maintaining an open airway. When a dog becomes obese, fat deposits in the neck and chest become so dense they exert inward physical pressure, literally crushing the animal's delicate airway. The dog is slowly suffocating under the weight of its own tissue. This also feeds the heatstroke risk. Fat acts as a biological winter coat. Perhaps the most complex issue is canine diabetes. In humans and cats, obesity often drives type 2 diabetes, where cells simply stop listening to insulin. In dogs, however, it is almost exclusively type 1. Their pancreatic beta cells are destroyed, and they simply cannot produce the insulin their bodies require. Obesity severely weaponizes diabetes by creating massive insulin resistance. Regulating blood sugar becomes nearly impossible, leading to catastrophic organ failures and blindness over time. So, the fundamental question is, if the consequences are this severe, why do they keep eating? To understand that, we must look past the food bowl. The divergence begins in the saliva. Unlike humans, carnivores do not possess ptyalin, an enzyme that starts breaking down starches into sugar the moment you chew. Their saliva is strictly a lubricant designed to help large chunks of protein and lipid-rich meat slide down the esophagus quickly toward the stomach. The chemical breakdown doesn't start until the food hits the highly acidic environment of the stomach. This is where the real digestion for a carnivore begins. Research by Farmina Pet Foods reveals a critical insight. The canine body is designed to be in a constant, baseline condition of biological hunger. For a carnivore, hunger is the default operating system. That starvation panic is only temporarily interrupted by the physical presence of food in the gut. The moment the gut clears, the physiological alarm bells ring again. This involves a biochemical war between two powerful hormones, leptin and ghrelin. Leptin is synthesized by fat cells to tell the brain that energy reserves are adequate. It is the biological signal that says, we have enough food. Ghrelin is secreted by the stomach lining when it's empty, screaming at the brain to find calories immediately. In the modern dog, this loop is broken. Even when an obese dog has massive amounts of leptin, their brain reward center, the mesolimbic dopaminergic system, is often severely desensitized and non-responsive. Much like someone who listens to loud music for years goes volume deaf, the brains of obese individuals actually down-regulate dopamine receptors to protect themselves. Because their receptors are dulled, they don't get normal satisfaction from existing. They have to turn up the volume by eating more to feel normal. Their hunger mechanism is essentially a broken thermostat stuck on heat. This is compounded by the modern industry's heavy reliance on complex carbohydrates. Many diets are 40 to 50% carbohydrates. Dogs are facultative carnivores. They can extract energy from carbs but have no biological requirement for them. When an obese dog eats high-starch kibble, the body breaks down those polysaccharides rapidly, creating a massive and dangerous glucose spike in the blood. The pancreas then dumps a massive amount of insulin to clear that sugar. But because the dog is sedentary, this insulin forces glucose into storage. Instead of sprinting across a tundra, the insulin forces the glucose directly into adipose tissue, where it is stored as persistent and stubborn fat. Plants contain anti-nutrients like phytic acid and lectins. These are evolutionary defense mechanisms designed to disrupt a predator's digestive system and absorption. Phytic acid undergoes chelation, physically binding to essential minerals like calcium and zinc, effectively escorting them out of the dog's body entirely. This induces a state of malnutrition despite caloric abundance. It's why simply feeding more of a low-quality diet never solves the underlying hunger. Why do veterinarians recommend pumpkin for an upset stomach? It's because of the fiber. Pumpkin forms a viscous gel that slows gastric emptying. Sweet potatoes contain resistant starches that act as prebiotics, feeding beneficial bacteria. For a high-performance working dog, these benefits are excellent. But for the 57% of dogs that are overweight, the insulin spikes often outweigh these fiber benefits, making them a risky choice. This brings us to what experts call the holy grail of satiety hacks, the green bean strategy. It is a masterclass in exploiting canine physiology. Green beans have almost no caloric density, about 31 calories per cup, and virtually zero sugar, meaning no dangerous insulin spike for the dog. The canine stomach is a biological balloon lined with mechanoreceptors. When it physically distends from volume, those stretch receptors fire electrical signals immediately. These signals hit the hypothalamus with a high-priority message: stop ghrelin secretion. It is a biological kill switch that bypasses the bloodstream entirely. However, the Dr. Lindsay Butzer clinical protocols are very strict. This is not a DIY project. You cannot simply replace a dog's meal with vegetables. Green beans lack essential amino acids like taurine and arginine. They also lack the animal fats required for long-term cellular and organ health. The protocol involves a gradual transition. In week 1, you replace a maximum of 10% of their normal diet volume with green beans. If the microbiome adapts without bloating or distress, you can eventually scale up. For supervised rapid loss, the maximum safe threshold is 50%. In a Farmina clinical study, this high-fiber intervention led to a weight loss of roughly 1.75 to 1.9% weekly. Because the stomach felt full, the dogs didn't experience the psychological distress of starvation. Their blood work showed stabilized glycemia and plummeted cholesterol. The researchers also utilized a powerful tool, L-carnitine. It acts as a molecular transport mechanism, shuttling fatty acids into the mitochondria for fuel. This optimizes the cellular furnace, ensuring the dog burns stored fat rather than breaking down essential and vital lean muscle mass. If your dog finds green beans monotonous, cucumbers and celery are excellent alternatives. However, you must avoid canned vegetables with added salt. Absolutely never use alliums like onions or garlic. They are toxic and cause hemolytic anemia, a life-threatening condition for pets. Ultimately, we face a philosophical hurdle known as the 5 freedoms, specifically the conflict between freedom from disease and freedom from hunger. Once a dog reaches their ideal weight, their quality of life scores soar. The long-term happiness far outweighs the temporary anxiety of a restricted bowl. We have to be the prefrontal cortex for an animal driven purely by instinct. We must make the rational decisions they are biologically incapable of making. By understanding the why behind the whine, you move from reacting to sad eyes with guilt to becoming a true, scientific steward of your dog's health. By managing their biology with empathy and precision, we aren't just saving their joints, we are buying them years of pain-free, joyful existence. Tonight, try a small experiment. Take your dog's normal dinner portion and remove exactly 10% of the kibble from the bowl. Replace that portion with a handful of fresh or thawed green beans. Watch how this simple change starts a biological revolution in their gut. Watch the mechanics of the vagus nerve work in real time. The physical expansion of the stomach sends a signal of fullness to the brainstem. You stop being an enabler of their primitive instincts and start being the true protector of their life and long-term vitality. This is about the ultimate freedom. Not the freedom to eat, but the freedom to move, to play, and to live without chronic inflammatory pain. Every meal is a choice. Every green bean is a step toward a longer, happier journey together. Choose their health over your guilt. Let's dive deeper into the One Health study by Atlantis Press. It highlights the staggering intersection of human and animal metabolic trends in modern society.